Hello YouTube, it's Forever Phonetic, and I would just like to apologize for being gone for so long. My computer kind of broke, but now I have a new one, so I should be able to record videos more often. Um, I actually already have 3 planned for this one alone. Um, but without further ado, I will be getting into the video. So first things first, we have the picture, the cover image, and it actually tells you a lot about the content you are about to get into. First, it's a little bit like in your face. All of the font is very ordinary, except for a little bit of like Unicorn Store where it's just a picture and there's some like splashing effect, but everything else is very ordinary. I don't know which font this is, but I should. And then you have Bree, who okay, so basically the paint swatches are supposed to imply she's creative, but at the same time, like, if you look at the expression on her face, she looks smug. And the thing is, she is. Not Brie as a person, I mean, like, the character Kit. And then there's something else that I would like to draw your attention to. The fact that the only one mentioned on this cover is Brie Larson, even though there's Brie, there's Samuel L. Jackson, there's Mamadou Athie, and there's even Joan Cusack. Joan Cusack is in this film, and like the only person mentioned is Brie Larson. So yeah, it is sort of a one-person show, so that will play into my review a little bit because it is a very big thing. I'm going to give you my rating system real quick, which is 5 stars for enjoyability, 1 star for cinematography/music, 1 star for plot and story, 1 star for cast and acting, 1 star for set design and costumes, and 1 star for death. I'm not going to pretend this is a perfect objective system because A, those don't exist, and B, this is just how I rate them, and everything will link back to my fallible understanding of reality and storytelling. My background for this movie is like many people, I'd never heard of Brie Larson before she landed the role of Captain Marvel, and my first exposure to her as an actress was through political YouTube, and that's never a great first impression. I ended up seeing her in Endgame, and I just like, I was so bored with her character that I'm like, maybe it's just her character, maybe it's not the acting, maybe it's just the character. And so I decided to watch this after seeing the trailer, and the trailer was actually pretty entertaining. So Unicorn Story is interesting to say the least. It seems to have a lot to say while intentionally lacking nuance, and any nuance it does have seems to only half land, wobble, and then miserably fall on its face. I've talked with my sister in great depth about this movie, and we both come to different messages, and both of them weren't executed properly. So, to give you an idea of the plot is basically this woman, who I'm going to call girl because she's not a woman. She has, like, she is not grown up, she is a girl. This girl gets a letter inviting her to the store, and the store claims to sell what the person needs, which is a unicorn. It's a unicorn. And so she goes through all of these hoops to obtain this unicorn. I'm going to move on to the characters, and I will come back to the plot and maybe the themes in the next video. So yeah, the ensemble of characters, despite not landing well and being an indie project, Unicorn Store had a pretty colorful cast, including Brie Larson, Samuel L. Jackson, Joan Cusack, Bradley Whitford, and Mamadou Athie. There really are only those 5 characters that do much, and others are 100% there only to advance Kit's story. Kit's parents are played by Joan Cusack and Bradley Whitford. They're teen counselors that run their own camp thingy that may or may not actually be helpful for the kids who go there. The jury's still out on that since it wasn't really important to Kit, and the story just kind of glossed over it. From the beginning to the end of the movie, their main motivation is to improve Kit's quality of life. They see she's miserable, and they try pretty much everything to fix it. art school being the start of that, and that happens before the movie begins, and inviting her to the camp being the end of it. I have this little theory that maybe they just realized that it was an exercise in futility. All in all, they're pretty terrible at parenting and communication. I can't tell if that's a result of living with Kit or if Kit is a result of growing up with them. Next, we have the salesman. The salesman is played by Samuel L. Jackson, and it's pretty enjoyable. My favorite thing about his character was that they made his hair look like cotton candy, and he is, like, the first one to call our protagonist out for her selfishness and, like, just the fact that she doesn't realize that she's the problem. He has a goal outside helping Kit acquire a unicorn, which is to help people in general acquire unicorns, because that's his job, that's his life. But he won't be pushed around whilst doing it. At the beginning of the movie, he's 100% friendly and helps Kit with patience and kindness, but after he goes off on her because he's just, like, had enough of her, their interactions after that, he's more indifferent and sometimes even hostile. When he calls her up on the phone when the unicorn's there, he's like, do you want it or not, type thing. And so it's just very interesting because his character does grow, sort of. Like, he changes. Virgil plays the role of knight in shining armor, whether Kit wants him to or not. When Kit first meets him, her behavior is very different from how it is with her parents or literally anyone else. She's more at ease, she constantly compliments him constantly throughout their conversation. She has absolute faith in him for no reason whatsoever. It really isn't hard to understand why he was endeared towards Kit. She's fun, kind, and supportive. Or at least to him, she is. Kit pulled him out of his comfort zone, and he learned and grew so he was also grateful for that, and he also got a good job because of it. And before a certain point, her childlessness didn't seem like naivety or immaturity, so it didn't take away from how she had impacted him or his view of her. However, at one point, Kit and him argue because he cares about Kit and is worried about the situation she told him about, possibly giving her financial information to a stranger, but she turns that around and morphs it onto him, pretending that he's treating her like an idiot and that he doesn't care at all. By the end, he's seen her ridiculousness and is still with her, which I think is supposed to show that expecting your partner to be perfect, isn't a good thing. But at the same time, there's no reason for this character to accept her terrible apology. Okay, so last but not least, we have Kit. Kit is a terrible person if you hadn't already realized that from how I talk about her. She blames everyone else for her problems. She's always negative. She never self-reflects. In fact, she deflects it onto other people. When she starts to feel she might be wrong, she accuses others of thinking or saying that about her with no basis for it. Those who don't agree with her, especially those in a position of power that they probably earned, are labeled idiots or predators, and I will talk about them more later in themes and messages. And whenever she majorly messed up something in her life, she moves on without trying to learn from it. Her character grew in like one way, and that's she realized she didn't need a unicorn to be happy, or she didn't need it as much as someone else did. And that's about it. That is the end of her character growth. Her how she treats people does not really change. Overall, my two favorite performances from this were by Samuel L. Jackson and Mamadou Athie. Bree, Cusack, and Whitford were okay, and a lot of the other performances were very underwhelming, but I suspect this is more due to the director and writer's vision for the tone of the movie. So I will be elaborating more on that in the next video, and depending, it might only be 2 videos rather than 3, just to after I get a general sense of how long it is. Thank you for bearing with me. I hope you enjoyed this, and I will hope you watch the next one. This is Forever Phonetic. Goodbye.